What is up? We got new trailers. We have new shows out on Disney Plus. It's Thursday night, which means it's time for Star Wars Newsnet Live once again. And tonight, I'm joined with just Jay today. And okay, I don't mean that in a bad way. I feel like saying just Jay means like,
Sorry.
damn it. Like, god damn it. It's just Jay. Like, you got nothing better going on, so I'm with Jay tonight. But I don't mean it all like that. It was just Brian had a bit of a family emergency type thing. Nothing serious, but he had to back out for the evening, and so it's just the two-man wrecking crew this evening. But I'm gonna put that thumbnail back up here real quick, Jay, because it's a sick thumbnail. So thank you, Brian, for putting that together for us before you had to depart today. There was a lot to unpack from Tales of the Empire. I'm really excited to get into it. I really enjoyed it, but I have some major critiques and some frustrations that I want to talk about tonight. I wanted to love it more, but and I'll just say this: 7 out of 10. Like, and that for me, I'm usually the positive, uplifting, optimistic one that's usually arguing in favor of like, no, it was actually better than what we want to say. But it was. I actually have some problems. But Jay, how are we doing this evening? How are things in the great state of Hawaii?
Well, it's currently raining outside. Cats and dogs. It's
Oh,
not
yikes.
typically your May summer weather yet. But besides that, no, I'm doing great. Yeah. How about you, Tyler? How's Florida?
So Florida is fantastic. It's hot as like dirt out here. It's horrible. So tomorrow for school we have like Universal Studios theme park is right by, it's in Orlando, like just like Orlando has Universal, Disney, all this stuff. And so
Yep.
at the end of the school year for eighth graders, like the county puts together, they partner with with Universal to do this like field trip for all the eighth graders from like the park opens for just the eighth graders from like 4 o'clock to midnight. And
Wow.
so your boy here is foolish enough to go as a chaperone for the field trip. And so from 4 a.m. or 4 p.m. to midnight tomorrow, I will be, hanging around Universal with the middle schoolers and making sure that, we all get there and return safely and in one piece. I can't say that I am fully optimistic. Speak the devil, like there's some right there. Like, I mean, they're probably making sure that I'm, not like trashing them right now. But I promise, like, I'm looking forward to Grad Venture. My girlfriend is actually coming as a co-chaperone,
Yeah.
which could be great for her. As she will get to meet some students. Could be awful as well, because who knows what these little children might say to her tomorrow. Like, I'm a little bit concerned. Like what could these conversations be? But I'm optimistic as well. So all of that to say that life is very interesting right now. I'm so ready. I'm ready for the summer, though. I am looking forward to summer break. It's about that time. I think I crossed one teacher in the hallway today, and I just get like, it was this look, and she just looked at me back, and it was just a full on set of like, I'm ready. Like, I need it. Like, and the kids are too. Like, some of them are.
Yeah.
They're like bouncing off the walls right now, but I love them. They're wonderful until they aren't sometimes. But Jay, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
George Lucas supposedly loves Obi-Wan Kenobi the most out of every single Disney Plus Star Wars show, according to public.
Right.
Why? What do you think that is? What do you think about Obi-Wan Kenobi draws him in more than the others? Is it just the fact that it's Obi-Wan, it's Ewan, he's worked with, Ewan and Hayden before? Or is there something about the lore building there that actually appeals to someone like George, the maker himself?
I mean, that surprised me too when that report came out, because out of all of the stuff that has come out, it's like, really? Like that one? Could have chosen Ahsoka, could have chosen Andor. Right. I mean, could have even chosen The Mandalorian. But I think part of it maybe because of maybe it has to do with it's probably like the most closest to what he did with the prequels. It's got, of course,
closest to home.
Right, exactly. It's got Ewan, it's got Hayden, it's got Darth Vader, and it's got, timeline-wise, it's also very close to the prequels.
Right.
So maybe that has something to do with it. I also think like the lightsaber action sequences in Obi-Wan are probably some of the best that we've seen in recent Star Wars. Even
what do you mean
better than
Star
Ahsoka.
Wars? Do you mean Disney Plus Star Wars, or do you mean like sequel, everything? Okay,
yeah, I mean,
I would disagree. I think Ahsoka some of the Ahsoka stuff is really, really good.
You
Like
think so?
the first Balin Ahsoka duel is the best in all of Disney Plus, I think. And
Okay.
really don't think it's close. Just
Okay.
like the two samurai warriors are like facing each other down,
Mm.
sizing each other up, and the physicality of that. Oh, it was so good. I do love like the final one between Kenobi and Vader is really good. But I remember less about them actually fighting and more about Obi-Wan, using the Force to lift the rocks and doing that whole like I'm gonna raise the high ground to a new level type thing, and then start Force launching rocks at you. Like that's what I remember more than necessarily the saber duels. But
Yeah.
that's just me. I will say if she's still watching, one of the superstar kids of second period. So just get that off my chest. Phantom Menace made 8 million at the box office this weekend.
Right.
25 or domestically, like what was it, like 25 worldwide or whatever it was. Like that's crazy. Like it's Phantom Menace, but Star Wars isn't dead apparently to people that like to say that. So did you go see it first of all? Did you end up going to see it?
I did not. What about you, Tyler?
We could have been at 9 million, but you and Brian let us down. That's what happened.
So I could have had like the extra million to pitch in towards that. Yeah, it could have been 9 million.
So I have a rant. Are you ready for this rant?
Go ahead. Let's hear it.
I love the Phantom Menace, but also, like many other people in the world that went to go see this movie, were looking forward to the extended action sequence between May and Master Indara from the Acolyte that's going to be shown at the end. I'm sitting in this theater. I am ultra excited to witness the Acolyte at the end. I sit through all of the credits. The anticipation is building. The people around me are whispering like, "Oh, I'm so excited for the Acolyte." Like this, I'm thinking to myself, we're about to share in this moment together. And then the screen goes black. There is no Acolyte teaser at the end of my showing. And I am now faced with the decision of, am I going to be the person, the entitled moviegoer that goes to speak with the minimum wage employee at the front desk, wondering why my Acolyte teaser wasn't shown? Or do I take it on the chin and just walk out and say, you know what, better luck next time? But I have to tell you, I chose option 2 because I'm terrified of confrontation in settings like that. But I was boiling, like unnecessarily so, because it's just like a stupid teaser that I'm going to watch the show in a month. But the big draw was going to see that at the end. And then for Regal, it was Regal Theaters. I'm blasting it out there. Regal Theaters in Waterford Lakes here in Orlando just absolutely dropped the ball. And it broke my heart because I have only said the best things about Regal to my friends. Like, please go to Regal. Like, let's help movies. And then you drop the ball on me. You do that. You commit the ultimate sin of not showing the built-up teaser for the upcoming show that this whole re-release was also centered around, besides just the Phantom Menace 25 years. Jay, am I justified in my anger? Do I need to relax?
So hang on. So there was supposed to be a teaser though.
It was every showing, and I knew people that went to other showings at this theater and got the teaser.
You should have complained then.
I did mention it like on my way. I was like, hey, the teaser didn't go, but I didn't want to I didn't want to like stand there and be like, this is, and they were like, I don't know, I'm sorry, I'm not in charge of that. And I'm like, I don't want to call like the manager down. Like I didn't want to create this scene. I had students at this theater. Like some of my students were there in the showing with me. I had students of mine that were there. So I'm like, I can't be the teacher that's like yelling at, or like not yelling, because I don't really yell at people ever. So like I can't be the teacher or the person that's there. And my students, suddenly there's a video of Mr. Bradshaw like going around the school. Mr. Bradshaw, complaining about this. Like I just couldn't be that person. So I was just like, okay.
Well, I think you have a right to be like, you're totally justified there. You should have at least said, I would have, like, I wouldn't have like yelled or, got upset or anything. Right. But I think like you could definitely just go like and tell the manager, hey, like I paid money to go see this movie. And then also there's supposed to be a trailer for something else coming up at the very end. What happened? Like I would have... I could have, but here's the problem. That's possible.
Here's the problem, though.
Okay.
It is, if I do that, he's gonna be like, "Well, you got a whole 2.5 hours, and you're over here complaining about 60 seconds, like or like 1 minute, and then I become the person, and then he's like, I can't just reopen This whole theater, get you back in there just for like you to like do this 2 minutes. Like I feel like I'm asking for I don't want to feel like I'm this entitled moviegoer that's like I am now entitled to this 2 minutes. You have to change your whole schedule around fulfilling my 2 minute need, even though every other person, was smart and left. You know what I mean?
But I actually have complained to a manager at a theater when I'm sitting in the movie theater, because I actually do watch a movie all the way till the end of the credits.
Mhm.
And I actually have complained to the manager, and when the cleaners come in and turn the lights on before the credits wrap up. I actually have done that.
That's wild.
I actually
Like
have
I
done
get
that.
it. I get that. That's also wild. That is also wild too.
But hey, it at the end it works out because like they actually
Because the
have
cleanup people get chewed out. Yeah, right. Great job, Jay.
right. But at the same time though, like actually the manager has given me like free movie tickets before.
Like Jay walks in and suddenly everyone's like, "Is that guy's coming in? That jerk's coming in. Make sure we don't clean up the popcorn until this guy walks out." That's what
Yeah.
You got like a
'Cause,
reputation.
I actually I want to listen to the music and I want to watch the credits.
I-
And if
I
you
almost
interrupt
feel
the credits,
uncomfortable. But like I feel uncomfortable. Like if I walk away with free tickets in that scenario, I'm like I almost feel like like a bad guy. I don't know. I shouldn't, but I do. So
let us know in the comments if you're in the chat whether Tyler has the right to go up and complain or not.
like I know I have the right. It's just a matter of like, is this actually
Worth it?
worth it? Is it worth it to have to go through this? So Darth Jar Jar is making its way to our Disney Plus. Speaking of Phantom Menace, what did you think, real quick, just on the Lego, like the Lego rebuild little thing they're gonna do? I love the little Lego series stuff. It's just fun, and they're gonna do this like alternate universe of Star Wars. And I kind of love that this what if of Star Wars is actually happening in the world of Lego, where it's like there are no actual, restraints, but there's also no complications. No one's gonna get upset that Darth Jar Jar is appearing. And I say that someone will probably get upset because people are stupid. But Darth Jar Jar, you have to be excited about it, right? Like that was a great moment in history that we're about to witness, right?
I thought the framing of Darth Jar Jar's reveal was a little bit funny. Right. And it's like because you're looking up at him and he's got like his lightsaber playing in a direction that's kind of a little bit lewd, a little bit like suggestive, and I'm like, oh, all right.
Misa now going to hurt you, sir. Love it. Give it to me. Love it. I want all the Jar Jar content. Like, give me the whole series. I could have taken a Darth Jar Jar over one of the Morgan Elsbeth Tales of the Jedi episodes.
No.
To be honest, I'm serious.
No.
Okay, maybe not that extreme, but we'll get into it.
Sure.
So which one do you want to talk about first? We got trailer, Acolyte, or Tales of the Empire. What do you want to dive into first? I'll leave it up to you here.
Let's go Tales of the Empire.
Okay, Tales of the Empire.
And then we'll save Acolyte for afterwards.
Okay. So let's break this down. We got Morgan Elsbeth, 3 episodes of Morgan Elsbeth, and we have 3 episodes of Barriss Offee. Let's go ahead and start with Morgan Elsbeth because just because that comes in first on the Disney Plus watch. What were your thoughts on the 3 episodes? Because I have some gripes. I am a little bit upset at the way it was handled, but I'm curious just where your perspective is.
It was a lot better than I was expecting.
What were you expecting?
For me, like I didn't really have too much expectations because, well, obviously the big one was Barriss. Like her episodes were obviously like the ones that we were all looking forward to and paying attention to.
The main event.
Yeah, right. In all honesty, like I thought it was just gonna be kind of like throwaway, which it kind of is. I thought it was gonna be Morgan Elsbeth's episodes. I thought were just gonna be like some of those kind of like middle of the road Clone Wars episodes.
Okay.
I did think though, like by the end of it, I'm like, okay, this is better than I thought because, for one thing, like I think it delivered on the Empire promise. This was a dark story. It didn't have a happy ending, and it was the Empire, right? It had Thrawn, it had Morgan Elsbeth having like this tyrannical control over her planets and not wanting to give it up. That is a Empire story, right? So for me, that's why I actually enjoyed it a lot.
Okay, so I'm gonna put this image up here, and absolutely awesome image. I mean, Diana Lee and Sansa, like the performance from her was fantastic.
Yes,
and Morgan Elsbeth is a great character for the limited time that we see her. I really enjoy Morgan Elsbeth. The action sequence in the Mando episode with her is fantastic. Like, and then in the Ahsoka, series, whenever she and Ahsoka fight at the end, also a great moment. What was the purpose of these episodes? I don't understand the purpose of fleshing out Morgan Elsbeth's character. The character we already know the ending of, that was pretty inconsequential overall to the Mandoverse timeline, really. I mean, she, I guess, serves as a vessel to get them to Thrawn, but that could have been anyone necessarily. Like, she doesn't really serve like a large, she's pretty inconsequential in terms of the Mandoverse. And her story throughout, I don't know, it leads right up to the Ahsoka episode, presumably of Mando, but there's no real motive to the story. Like, I don't understand what the purpose was. Like, we started on Dathomir and that was great, but then the next episode, suddenly she's thrust in as some chief engineer of the Empire. We have no idea how she started with the Empire. We have no idea how she got to this point. And then at the time we finally figure out what she's going to do for the Empire, and we think we might get some backstory with her and Thrawn, we get really just barely any time with Thrawn. We thrust to where the Empire has already fallen, and it leads right up to the moment where we pretty much know exactly what, happened. I mean, we didn't need to see, I don't think, the New Republic trying to establish everything out there. I think it was interesting that they dived into how her system of control, they had no idea that the Empire fall. I thought that was interesting. But to me, this having Thrawn in these 3 episodes was a mistake. Like, it was a mistake because the series should have been about him. The 3 episodes, they should have just done 3 Thrawn episodes, and having him in there just made me realize and think to myself, why wasn't Thrawn just the 3 episodes about Thrawn? He's the main villain that they're trying to build up for the Mandoverse. They're trying to build up this heir to the Empire, stuff. Why wouldn't you just thrust Thrawn in, have an episode either where he's first arriving on the Empire scene, kind of like you get in the first Thrawn book, where he's rising through the ranks, or go all the way back to the Chiss Ascendancy, give us an episode there, which I know Filoni would love. The second episode can be him as a Grand Admiral or about to be a Grand Admiral. And then the third episode can be him in the other galaxy, having been abandoned. They talk about that for a moment.
Sure.
And then we get like some backstory to what he's been doing all of this time. And that actually serves a purpose, because we're building up on this character that's supposed to serve the ultimate end goal to this whole, universe that they've been building on Disney Plus. The Morgan Elsbeth story doesn't, as much as I'm not trying to hate on the character or the performance, because I like both. I just don't understand. In a Tales of the Empire, we're going to focus on this pretty inconsequential character to the Empire whose story has already been resolved. Just like with all the other shows serve a purpose. Like Ahsoka, that serves a purpose. Like seeing how her training with Anakin led to her surviving. And then we obviously have more Ahsoka stories to tell. With the Dooku, it shows a clear purpose of how he falls to the dark side and really how that manifests itself fully. With Barriss, we're talking about in a minute, serves a very clear purpose. Maybe flawed in how we do it, but it serves a purpose. So I'm asking you, like, is there a real reason for those 3 episodes, or am I completely justified in feeling this way?
I think you have a fair point. I did read like the headline of IGN's Tales of the Empire review that was saying that it said, so IGN I think gave it like a 6 or a 7 out of 10. It was like an okay, score.
Right.
But IGN they summed it up near the end. I think they said like it fills some of the plot holes within the overall like Star Wars timeline. And I agree, I think that it kind of does, it shows
with Elsbeth?
Yeah, maybe the whole thing. it does
Like what?
certainly
Like
solve
what
the
plot holes is she filling? Like she served. Like she's there for Thrawn. It says, "Oh yeah, I was a big ally of Thrawn." Okay, that tells me all
sure.
I need to know. I don't know. I don't understand where her role comes in. I think some aspects of it were fun to watch. I just
Yeah.
don't really think she was so important that we needed to have 3 episodes on her when Thrawn is sitting right there
I'll
for
tell
you
you what
to
though.
build upon.
I did before Tales of the Empire was even announced. I
Mhm.
put out a editorial on characters we'd like to see for Tales of the Jedi season 2.
Okay,
And in that article, put I put Barris.
of course,
I put Galen Natai from Star Wars
the High
The High
Republic, yes.
Republic Cataclysm, but I also put Thrawn and Anakin. I thought like a Thrawn and
Right.
Anakin like Thrawn alliances was
Mhm.
going to be like a for sure thing for Star Wars Tales of the Jedi season 2. Again, this was before it was
They
announced.
announced, yes.
I totally agree that, you know, like Thrawn would have been the better character.
Mhm.
I would have gone actually even with the Thrawn alliances storyline where he's interacting with Anakin, and then you know how that plays into his interactions
With Vader.
Vader, and you know you can even just show like what he was up to in the original
Right.
trilogy. I think that would have been the better call. I still think that I think going back to the original question though about like what kind of like purpose does Morgan Elsbeth serve?
Mhm.
I think you have to like see her story juxtaposed with Barris's. Because in
Okay.
Barris's, I think, you know, hers is a tale of redemption. It's a tale of, you know, she starts on this path but goes a different direction. And I think for maybe like that's part of the reason why they included these two tales together is because it kind of reinforces one another. How, you know, Morgan Elsbeth goes on this path of eventually becoming the thing
Right.
she hated the most.
Right.
And Barris is the exact opposite. So I think it's kind of like that poetic juxtaposition.
I understand. I just don't think that the way to do that is centered around Elsbeth, because I think with the Thrawn thing, you can build upon like the lore of Star Wars in a really tremendous way. If you do a Chiss episode or him rising through the ranks of the Empire, and then having an episode of him in the other galaxy, you're building upon the lore of Star Wars while also kind of putting some back filler on
Sure.
specific things for the Mandoverse and the potential quote unquote heir to the Empire movie that you're doing with Thrawn. And to me, it just makes that was like an easy softball that they could have lobbed out of the park, and they chose not to. I knew Thrawn was going to be in this. I was going to withhold some of my judgment until after I watched the 3 episodes, but after watching, it really did feel like there just didn't feel like there was like a real need for that. And not that we have to have a need for every Star Wars story, but for these little shorts, they I feel like should serve like a deeper purpose than what that one did. I will say though, learning that Dathomir is much more populated than maybe we previously
Yeah.
thought, like with these mountain clans. Like, what did you
Yeah.
think about the mountain clan? Because I thought that was so cool to see. Oh, there's another clan of witches here on Dathomir that have very completely different ideologies than the Night Sisters, and it made me wonder what other little sects of, you know, force wielders could there be
Yeah.
on Dathomir. And then you saw the power of, I forget her
One
name,
of them,
the main
yeah.
mother, just, and so clearly they are a force to be reckoned with. But what did you think about that?
It felt very courtship of Princess Leia, which is the original Legends book where Dathomir first appeared in.
Is that the one where Han like tries to like bet like
Yes.
Leia or something, like, and he tries to buy Leia's like as a wife or something like that?
Yeah, so what happens in so I haven't actually fully read Courtship
Okay.
of Princess Leia. I'll just say that. But in my research on Dathomir, and from what I've gathered, you know, from other sources, Courtship of Princess Leia is where like Leia is she's considering a proposal from someone like who's more like
Right.
royalty, and
Mhm.
then like he's
But like can
from like
offer something to the like the rebellion, I think,
yeah,
like
yeah,
the rebuilding.
like
Yes.
he's powerful and he
Mhm.
has like all this money and this planet, and he's like part of a government, right? And so he
Yes.
has like certain authority. But then Han Solo being Han, he's kind of feeling a little insecure, I guess.
Oh,
And then so
100%.
so what happens is he ends up winning, or he ends up in a like
Mhm.
sabacc game
Yes.
with this high like imperial official, or I'm not sure, like someone of power, and the guy bets the planet of Dathomir.
Yes.
And Han thinks, oh, I can win a planet, and I can hopefully win back Leia through this planet.
Well, it was like he's gonna win back Leia through this planet, but I think there's like part of the storyline is like he also like changes the laws or something when she's there to like she's like forced to marry him or whatever. Can you
Something.
imagine if Disney ran a story like that in 2024? That would just it blows my mind. The people
Yeah,
that are like legends, diehards, saying why did you change anything? And I'm like, Han Solo literally like tried to buy Princess Leia. Like let's
I
back like let's relax here on the legends or everything.
yeah. Again, I haven't like read the full thing, but also like I from what I gathered, like there's a portion where he possibly like even like kidnaps
Yes, he
Leia.
kidnaps her. Oh my! Yes, he kidnaps her and like takes her to Dathomir, the planet he like pseudo owns now, to try to like force her to.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so bad. So let's so let's move on.
It's
So
comical
Barris,
though. It's funny though. But
it
yeah.
is it is funny to like to think about. But Barris, these were the main event. Like this was the main event
Yes.
everyone was probably looking forward to the most because in the trailer you see Darth Vader. We know that Barris is the underlying reason, the first push that sent Ahsoka away from Anakin, the Jedi Order, and kind of started, that whole separation between her and Anakin. And we'd never really gotten the end of her story. And I still not sure we have based off of how this ends.
Yeah.
But once again, I felt like this did not quite meet the expectation of the audience, not in terms of the storytelling, but it felt like something was missing because in the first episode, we have her kind of learning about the Inquisitors, and we see Fortress Inquisitorius is not fully built, and there's the awesome, Grand Inquisitor, and I thought Jason Isaacs, I think, is who voices the Grand Inquisitor there, and he's awesome. And the final like the duel that she has to have, like the final test to join, everything was great about that episode in her reluctance at first to join. But then I thought we needed something in that gap between the next episode where she's suddenly like still like benevolent and has these Jedi like,
Yeah.
merciful intentions, and then just quickly shifts to I'm still the Jedi. There was like nothing in between where we got to see her actually fully dive into like the Inquisitor role, the Imperial regime. And it felt like that was needed for her turn back to the light. Not that it ever left her, but to turn back to the light to be fully complete. And I thought that was like like there was just something missing. It felt like almost this whole 6 episodes could have been like a Barris 6 episodes, if you will, but maybe not that many. But it felt like we needed at least one more episode with her because there was just like something missing. Not that I wasn't excited to see her turn back. I was really touched. And then we can talk about what happens in the last episode as well. But did you feel like there was something missing in the middle? That's why it didn't hit quite home for me.
I thought it was weird that when she confronts the Jedi in episode 2, she doesn't know the purpose of the Inquisitors. I thought that was weird because she's battling this Jedi, and then you have the other sister Lynn, who is trying to kill him,
Right.
and then Barris is like, let's not do this. We can bring him in, and in my head, I'm thinking to myself, Barris, do you not know what the Inquisitors do?
Have you not been downstairs in the Inquisitorius and seen the tomb of Jedi that exist?
Right, and so like it was kind of a bit odd. I'm like, you telling me you signed up for this program, not knowing the entire mission statement of
Darth Vader sitting there, like you're telling me that Darth Vader's sitting there doing your initiation. You didn't get a good idea of what was gonna happen. I'm sure Vader was like, so we're gonna go out there, guys, and we're gonna capture some Jedi, and we're just gonna like talk to them and see if we can convert them. No, Darth Vader was like, we are gonna snap some necks and cut off some heads. Like, that's what we're going to do.
Kill some Jedi. Yeah, I mean, like, I was a little bit surprised. I'm like, Barris, you know, like, I thought you knew what you signed up for.
Yeah.
In that sense, yeah, I felt like, you know, it was missing a beat. It was like it was missing a step before we get to her changing her mind.
Right. And maybe, you know, she has been, and she's suddenly like, no, maybe we can do something different. But we never saw whether or not she did fully ever buy in, or if she was still like, because it made it seem like, oh, this is another mission. They've been on several missions. Like, we don't know if she's just now starting to turn, or if she's always been kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And I think that was what was a little unsettling. But as much as I do gripe with that a little bit, it was really great to see her like, there's still one Jedi, and then you're gonna have to like face one more Jedi or whatever, and then she force pushes Lynn off, who of course, you know, Lynn survives. And
I was waiting for the helicopter blades.
She just comes right back up with the helicopter blade. Like, it was funny. Like, she pushes her off, it's fine. Yeah. So did you think this is where I'm naive and stupid, and I'm a moron. Is because I just thought she killed Lynn right there, and I should have known that Lynn is not going to die from some fall at Star Wars, and she probably helped save herself there. Because in the last episode, I was like, oh, is this the Grand Inquisitor, or is this Vader himself wanting to finish Barriss off like at the end? Because I thought for sure she was going to be a goner once she told them to fly away, and then when it finds out it's Lynn, I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And the fact that she refers to her as Lynn, and the whole way that, you know, she uses the fear against them and shows them that it's actually their weakness. Here's the problem, Jay. Here's the problem.
Let's hear it.
We have the 100th stab wound to the gut from a lightsaber that we don't know. Like, I thought she was dead, and then she's like, I'm going to get you out of here, and carries her out. And it makes it seem like Barriss could still be alive and isn't dead. Like, it makes it seem that way.
Yeah.
And that I'm like, you know what? Dave's like, we're going to leave that door open for season 2. We're going to show her up, and she's going to have like a little scar right here on her midsection. We're going to have a little patch job right there, and she's going to be just fine. Can we freaking have a lightsaber like go through someone's freaking chest and that actually kill them? Like, not that I want Barriss to die. Like, I love the idea. I said this last week. I want her to be in Ahsoka season 2. But if someone gets stabbed with a lightsaber wound, like in the midsection, they need to die. Like, they need to die, unless it's like Darth Maul. Like, I the only way that I'm okay with it, I guess, is if it's more of a Darth Maul dark side, like using the dark side to stay alive because you're so afraid of death and you're so afraid of what lies beyond that you're clinging to that life. But people on the light, like, to some degree, it's like when people talk about Qui-Gon, I think Qui-Gon, he wasn't afraid of death. Like, he accepted it as like a natural part of life. But at the same time, it cheapens it so much when everyone else just keeps surviving. It drove me insane that in my own headcanon, am trying to convince myself that she took Barriss out to give her a nice little funeral in the snow or something. Like, I'm gonna get you out of here. I'm not just gonna let you rot in this cave. Talk me off the cliff here, Jay. Talk me off the cliff. If it's possible.
Well, you better hope that I'm not the one who if that does happen, you better hope I'm not the one to talk you off the cliff, because I don't think I can actually do it in this sense.
Oh man.
You might be forced to jump.
I just don't, but I don't understand. Like, why? What are we gaining from that? Like, this lightsaber to the get. So it's
okay. I see what you're saying. It's like you can have the character turn, and you don't actually need Barris to actually get stabbed in that situation.
Grand Inquisitor and Reva and Obi-Wan. Sabine gets stabbed in the gut.
Sabine, I was gonna mention Sabine. Yep.
Sabine gets stabbed in the gut, and
Kylo
then
Ren.
I guess Kylo Ren, but that's a little different because it was like Jedi Force healing immediately, Force healing,
okay.
and we knew Rey had that power at least. So I'm like,
sure.
I'm like, I can overlook that, but like all these others, and then now like Barris gets stabbed in the gut. I'm like, good.
Oh yeah,
grief.
you're right. Reva did get Reva got
Yeah, because
stabbed
Reva
too.
gets stabbed too, and the Inquisitor one, like it's like he died. I just lose my mind. I don't understand. I just don't understand what like you could easily have done that differently. Like I don't know what purpose like we're serving here at this point. Like,
I agree. I agree. And then like I think the main reason why it's there is so that it creates suspense as to whether Barris is gonna come back or not.
Right.
That's the main reason why it's there.
But it's driving me. We're getting into Obi-Wan Kenobi now, but it's like when the Grand Inquisitor got stabbed in the gut. I remember going, "What the heck are we doing?" Like you have the Grand Inquisitor right there, and the thing I appreciated the hell out of in this first episode of the Tales of the Empire with Barris was the Grand Inquisitor was awesome. He was a force to be reckoned with. You could feel like the presence that he has, and you never get that in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Like never get that, and then he gets weaned off by the lightsaber in the gut, and then we don't see him again to the end. He's like, haha, like, you thought you killed me. Well, you did die. You're like dead right there. I don't understand why. I'm going on a rant now, but thankfully they nailed the Grand Inquisitor here. I don't know in the timeline exactly where this falls. In terms of this has happened before or after Obi-Wan Kenobi, like some of this stuff. I know that probably, I guess, before, because this seems to happen very quickly after Order 66. But I wonder, down the line, if when Kanan and the Grand Inquisitor are fighting, if the Grand Inquisitor was like, man, I really have a great shot here. We know I can't die through a lightsaber wound in the gut. Like, I got nothing to lose. So were there any last things you want to talk about with the Barris arc? Because it was really moving about, finding the light again and her coming like full circle. It was really special. And do you think she was talking about Ahsoka at the end when she said,
I do. I think so. For me, like, I think there was a lot of flaws about this episode that you brought out appropriately. I think though, like after watching it, I was just really surprised. I was just like, because like the thing is, I get what you're saying about the stab wound, but at the very end, I was, like, there was a genuine level of shock and surprise from that moment that I've never really got from Star Wars in a while.
Okay.
Where I saw that moment and like I was like I legitimately thought like, oh, that's it. Barris is gone. This is her at the end of her story. That's it. Like wipe the slate clean. We're good. I legit thought that was the case, but then Lynn does say like, I'll get you out of here. I'll get you help, and she carries her out. Then like that was the moment where I'm like, oh, she's gonna be in Ahsoka season 2. So like, even though there was a few issues with this series overall, that legitimate surprise at the end where I'm like, oh, she's coming back. I think that kind of overrid whatever complaints I kind of had.
So I would assume she's talking with Ahsoka.
Yes.
And about Ahsoka. She's like an old friend. They'll take her to an old friend. I assume that she's talking about Ahsoka. I assume that she's gonna live, and she's probably gonna find her way into Ahsoka season 2 or whatever. But before, I really wanted her in Ahsoka season 2. Now I'm pissed. Like, I'm pissed that she's like gonna be in Ahsoka season 2 because we have another one of these lightsaber stab wounds to the gut that she's gonna survive. And it felt like her arc built beautifully to the point where, oh, she did die, but okay. And so
I will say, I mean, like. Like, I get what you're saying. Like it's certainly like cheap as like Qui-Gon's death, but I think like once I got past that, I'm like, I
I
got
can't
more
get past
excited
it.
about the possibilities
I just
of
keep
what's to
rolling
come.
my eyes, dude. Like I can't get past it anymore. It was like we just talked about it last week. I said, can we get past as long I literally told Brian like as long as no one gets stabbed in the gut with a lightsaber and lives, like that'd be great. It's really frustrating, I think, at this point. It's almost like it's like comedy. It's really comedic. Like it's cheapening like when someone gets stabbed
It
with a
is. It
lightsaber, that should
is.
mean something. I don't feel like it means much anymore unless their head gets severed. But now I'm half expecting if their head like gets lopped off and it's sitting over there, that their left hand's gonna reach out with the force, and then their head's gonna float right back on, and they're gonna keep going after it. Like that's
Like
the point. I would not be surprised anymore.
like X-Men Origins Deadpool.
Yes, I will say having Barris return to the light, and then the way we see her in this last episode, confronting fear, confronting anger and hate, just with this calm serenity, it did make me very happy because it did feel like we could see Luminara in her. Just she felt very much like
Yeah.
Luminara's apprentice, becoming a Jedi in her own right now. And because Luminara, like anytime we see her, she's very calm, she's very serene, not completely stoic like it, but it's very subtle. Like her emotions and her expressions are not quite like bursting to the surface, and I feel like we kind of got a lot of that from Barris. And I
Yeah.
think it was really cool, like when she turned back to the light, it seems like the first thing she did was remember her master's teachings
Yeah.
and go back to that, and it almost feels like the lineage and Luminara continues to live on like through Barris as well. And I really do hope that once I get over the lightsaber stab wounds, that if she shows up in Ahsoka season 2, that that she could be maybe a catalyst for getting Ahsoka back from the other galaxy or something along those lines, if they choose to do a reunion. Although I would have liked to see that reunion at some point. Like it's one of
Yes.
those. There's like 2 reunions in Star Wars that we have now gotten different levels, and they both involve Ahsoka. It's like Luke and Ahsoka. I feel like we wanted that like opening like reunion, you know what I mean? But we never really get that. It's like in the Book of Boba Fett, we just see them like they've met each other for a while. And then here we know Barris has gotten back with Ahsoka at some point, we assume. But we never see the first encounter. And I'm wondering, Jay, do you think they're missing out on opportunities by not showing us these first encounters, like these really emotional reunions that we could have, but instead, or encounters that we could have, and instead just kind of pivoting and moving forward?
No, I think I mean, like, yeah, you like to see these cheerful and emotional reunions, but at the same time, I think it's also important we keep the focus on what the story is and on what the actual like overall plot is. Because in the Book of Boba Fett, it was still on Grogu and on the Mandalorian.
Mhm.
And in
Well, then why have Ahsoka at all? You know what I mean? Like, why have her be there at all? And just have the weird interaction where it's like, you're so much like your father. It's like, what? Like, he didn't do anything. It was just a weird, that just felt like clunky dialogue that like they wrote in there just to make people go, oh,
makes fans go, yeah, fan service.
I don't understand it. Like, we don't need to get into a whole dialogue on the Book of Boba Fett and some of the issues there, which I do love the Book of Boba Fett. I actually had a lot of fun with it.
Sure.
Robert Rodriguez is a freaking liar, but that's not dude, that man literally went out multiple times. We're gonna get off track for a second. This man went on multiple shows, multiple interviews, and was like, dude, he was like, guys, this show is so jam-packed and so amazing because in this trailer, see this trailer, the official trailer for the show, like we couldn't even show you anything outside the first 30 minutes of the series because it would give too much away. And in that trailer, there is stuff from like the last 10 minutes of the show. Like there's stuff from the last episode. There's so much in that trailer past the first like 30 minutes. And I'm like, what was the point of just lying to my face like that? Like the first episode comes out and I'm like, nothing in the trailer was actually in the first episode or the second episode or the third episode. And now I'm sitting here going, the trailer is now the final arc of the Book of Boba Fett. What? Take it away.
Well, okay. I'll say this though. You have a good point, but I think the ultimate like lie from a director was when James Cameron said Terminator Genesis was good. He had like a 30-second to a minute promo saying
and
like Terminator
he said
Genesis
it with
is
a
good.
straight, and he said it with a straight face.
Yes, and I'm like,
get those two in a room together, talk about
what a like that I hate, like, man, that completely destroyed my faith in James Cameron.
It's just, it baffles me. I don't understand the need that some of the creatives have to like overly embellish and just flat out lie about things. Like whenever that happens, like what's the point? Like what purpose does that serve other than pissing me off when I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, nothing from the trailer was in. And I'm one of those fans that if I'm watching a trailer, I don't want to see anything out of the first couple episodes. Like I the only reason I'm watching this trailer is just to get a little excited. I don't want those big reveals and those things to come in a trailer. I want that to come in the show. And so it was like when he said that, and then I watched the first episode, I was like, and every episode just got like, he's like more and more of a liar at that point in time. I was getting more upset. He's on my hate list right now. Rodriguez is on my hate list.
Speaking of trailers though,
see, perfect segue right there. That is professionalism right here. Perfect segue. The Acolyte, the official trailer for The Acolyte came out. And Jay, we want to talk about all of it and break it all down. But this is what I want to talk about first, because I don't know about you. I love this look. I love this look. I love it. Like I love the villain with the helmet, the scar, like the cracks and scarring throughout the helmet. Like it looks like this guy's been through
the
like,
teeth,
something. And then like the little zip with the teeth. It looks like almost this sinister snarl. It's giving like alien type vibes almost, like with it a little bit, and just this horror nature to what's going on. And we already know it's like a mystery thriller. But first impressions, first question, like, what did you think of this, like this fit right here? What do you think of the fit? And then two, who do you think, like, who can we expect to be underneath that mask? I'm gonna just leave this up here for another second because it's just too cool. It's just cool to look at. I mean, when was the last time we had like a new like Sith like villain, to look at? It's been a while.
You know what's funny though was part of my first reaction though was, oh great, another masked Sith Lord.
But we're so back because who's under the helmet discourse will be back in Star Wars. Like we're so back. Like we're right back where we started.
It's like if you're a main villain that's a Sith Lord, you gotta wear a mask at this point. Kylo Ren, Darth Vader, the different Inquisitors. So there's that aspect. But no, I think like as far as like what this does for me and as for like my excitement for the Acolyte, it does bring him up to a higher level. Because now it's like, because the first trailer, it didn't really hint at an overall like bigger antagonist than Amanda Stenberg's character. The actual Acolyte that the title hints at. So to actually have a difference, someone who's actually like pulling the strings behind the scenes, that could also possibly be someone connected to something bigger. I'm like, yeah, like awesome, cool, let's go for it.
This trailer gave everything the first trailer didn't, and I am a little bit surprised they didn't lead with this trailer. I know it's the official trailer and you don't want to just drop the official first, but it is surprising that they didn't do a little bit more with this trailer to start, because I think people would have jumped right in a little bit faster just because of the Sith look. We get a little bit more, meat on the bones in terms of like the story, what it's going to be about. Like Soul has the direct tie to May, and it talks about that. Like she was my student, like let me bring her in, and you clearly see like Jedi are being murdered and hunted, and then we see like what we assume to be like a Sith in some form or fashion. We assume doesn't necessarily mean it is. It could be like a wannabe Sith, an acolyte of the Sith. It could be a number of things that we'll see, but. Who do you think is under that helmet? Like just basic, premature, Yes, because we obviously know nothing else about the character dynamics of the show.
Um,
If you had to guess.
I have a candidate in my head that I like it to be,
Okay.
but I don't think that it will be this character. I'd like it to actually be a descendants of Marchion Rome from the High Republic. Because like Marchion is the main villain of the High Republic. He's the one that you see on the Eye of Darkness cover, with the yellow lightsaber, the one that he stole from Loden Greatstorm. Anyways, but I don't think it, like, I like it to be him. That way you can have like a connection to the High Republic books, which this is obviously this is obviously part of that timeline in that era. But I don't think it's gonna be him I don't think it's gonna be a descendant of the Rose.
They're gonna let that thing be its thing and then do something else
here. And also too, because like if you have a reveal where the main character, or that villain, I should say, lifts off their helmets,
and it's like an Everini and
and like that would be cool for us who've read the books and who are part of the High Republic fandom. For those who haven't read the books, though, it's like, who is this person? So I think that might not be, like, I'd like it to be that, but I don't think it's gonna be that. But
I hope it's a new character, someone that we may not even know is actually in this show, and like they're keeping this a secret. Like that's what I would hope. Maybe it's something like that. If it's one of the current cast, someone like we've seen in a trailer or on the poster, I have two main theories running right now. Okay. The first would be that it's the guy, Charlie Barnett's character, Yord, the one with like the yellow lightsaber, like the orangish lightsaber.
We've seen him though. As a
no, I'm saying like if it's not, I'm hoping that like he is somehow. Like I know he's like there when the lightsabers are drawn, and then like the lightsabers. So, but that scene could mean a few different things, because we don't necessarily in that first trailer. We don't necessarily. It's a little bit. I don't think it's necessarily set in stone. Like that's like all happening at the same time. Like we might see. He is like the stereotypical. He's like the Jedi that's a little bit behind the 8 ball, apparently. Like he's super energetic about these Jedi being murdered, but the way they described him is like he's not quite as good at everything. He's a rule follower. He's a step behind some of these Padawans even, and he's a Jedi Knight. And I'm like, I wonder, could this be like, is this a front? And he is like, but he's actually this villain. I don't think that that's the direction that they will go. I'm just saying, like, if it's someone from the cast that we're seeing right now, he's a candidate. The second candidate I would go with is with Manny Jacinto's character, the guy who plays, I think it's like Quimir or something. He's the one at the beginning of the trailer is like the Jedi with their galactic piece. And he's like, that piece is a lie. And I wonder if he could be that character. Not for any real reason other than he seems a little unassuming. He's just this little junk dealer, but he's behind the scenes. And this is like deep legends, like cut I saw on Twitter that like the first line of like the Sith code is like peace is a lie and something like that. And he literally, his like first line in the trailer is basically like, this piece is a lie. And I know that's probably not like a direct tie-in, but you throw in Leslie Headland talking about how she wants to incorporate Legends lore into this show. And she said, we can't talk about some of the Legends things we're incorporating yet. And some of that's probably like little small add-ins, but I wonder if she really is like letting us know that there is a bigger thing going on with this Legends lore that we're going to make canon, like the Sith code that's going to come into play. And it would make sense if he is, maybe the Sith, like what purpose does this non-Force user, going to serve in the story, surrounded by all these Jedi, surrounded by these, darker characters and witches, because it's not going to be May. It's not going to be, the woman that's playing like the mother Anasia or whatever. I don't think they're going to turn Carrie-Anne Moss into a villain here. I think Master Indara, Master Soul, like those are characters that are going to stay. And May, I don't think May is going to be the main villain. I think that's like all a smokescreen. I think it's pretty clear that that's a smokescreen based off the trailer. So if we're going to assume that someone in the cast that we see right now is that villain, to me, he makes the most sense just because he's under the radar. He's unassuming.
Yeah.
He seems to be in the murk. And then we know the Sith want to be behind the scenes, kind of orchestrating some. And so it would make sense if he's like a Sith apprentice being the one that's kind of behind the scenes while whoever the master is at this time might be a little bit more at the forefront.
This is, again, assuming, though, that the full cast has actually been revealed.
Right. And we don't know what secrets they could be, could be holding.
Yeah. Because, I mean, Star Wars is no stranger too to also having big name actors come out in the middle of a season. When we didn't know Andy Serkis,
right,
being the prime example.
Most wonderful surprise ever.
Yeah, 100%.
And so I'm not saying I want it to be Manny Jacinto or I want it to be Yord or whatever, but I'm just saying like if it's based off of what we know right now and who's on the poster, like I'm wondering if that's gonna be who it is. I hope it's someone brand new. I hope it's someone who's not even announced yet, and it's a brand new character. And I hope it doesn't even have to be someone we're familiar with, like an actor or an actress that we're familiar with. It's just someone new, a new character, fresh. Do you think there's any chance that underneath that mask is a Plagueis, is a Darth Tenebrous, his master, or do you think they're gonna not disregard that canon, but kind of push that down the line or subvert that a little bit and kind of put a brand new Sith that we're not familiar with?
Yeah, I think that it's better off to just let those things be. For one thing, I don't know if Disney wants to touch that. I don't know if Disney wants to, go ahead and incorporate those things into the larger canon right now. The other thing too is you have this opportunity to create something fresh and brand new. And I think that if you incorporate something that might be like more of a deep cut or might be too far into the weeds, quote unquote, then it might sour it a bit.
Okay. I could see that. I wonder too if because I love the Plagueis book. It's my favorite Legends book.
Oh, okay.
And it really is. I love that book. It's one of my favorite Star Wars books of all time. I wish it was canon for certain reasons we don't have to talk about today. But something in that book is interesting. It's like when Plagueis was basically sent on an errand by Darth Tenebrous or whatever, and he is encountering another like apprentice of Tenebrous. And it was almost like this test of like, are you worthy to be my apprentice? And they had to fight each other, and he had to like kill that other person. So I wonder if they could do something like similar here where you can keep with some of the established, like fake established lore and almost have like there could be this other apprentice or this person trying to even make themselves like a name for themselves as like I'm worthy of this. Like they got wind of these Sith lords that are like in the mix. And they're like, I want to make a name for myself. I want to prove that I'm worthy to be a student and to be a Sith. They like want to get on the radar of the Sith, so to speak. And I wonder if you could even play into that a little bit where it kind of gives you an out if you're telling the story. Like the Jedi are not aware that the Sith have returned because this person right here is technically not the Sith that we're looking for. He's someone that's like a wannabe Sith. But the Sith are still watching. They're a part of it. They're pulling the strings, but they're not the person that's sitting there fighting, Master Soul and company.
That's a good possibility. Hey, I think it's entirely possible.
And what role do you think Bernestra is going to play in this? She's not going to be a major character. She's going to be more of a supporting character. But in this, in the trailer, she speaks for the first time and talks about how she's, senses like a larger plot to tip the scales and tip the balance and tip where everything is going into a different direction. And we know based off of the fact that she's a young prodigy in the books and is still alive, and the fact that Leslie Headland's flat out said this, she's a prodigy, or she's just revered at this point. She's one of the most powerful Jedi in the Order, probably second only to like the Yaddle, maybe a Yoda, Yariel Proof, whatever. Like she's up there in terms of grandmaster status probably at this point, pretty close. And so what role do you think Vernestra is going to play in all of this? And will we see her, get in the thick of the action here in season 1?
She's probably going to be like you said, a more advisor role. Probably someone who's going to show. I think she might show up like when Yoda shows up.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, this is what I kind of hope. I hope Yoda never, Nate, go to sleep. You're done. I'm checking you out. What he said, what if Vernestra is under that mask? Nate, if you even so as try to speak and manifest that, so help me. I think even uttering that, Nate's a big Timberwolves fan. I think even uttering that phrase just cost the Timberwolves game 3 tomorrow night. Like 100% just cost the Timberwolves game 3. And it might even be game 4. They might lose both games at home now because Nate's, even uttering a possibility that Vernestra could turn to the dark side. I wonder if you just keep Yoda strictly in an advisory role in this and he doesn't really get in the action. And I wonder if they build Vernestra up as, in Attack of the Clones, like when Yoda finally decides to enter the fray and you're like, oh my gosh, like it's time.
It's like Gandalf.
Yeah. Finally, whoa,
Yeah. Vernestra is a Gandalf.
she's like just the advisor role. She's the advisor role. And then at the end is when she's like, all right, I'll do this myself. She's like comes in at the end and it's like, now the real like Grandmaster has arrived. And that's when you see the saber. She flips it onto the light whip and you get the whole shebang. I wonder if that might be more of the direction that they go here. It's possible.
I think so.
We're a few weeks out. We're under a month away. What's your hype level at for the Acolyte as we get going here?
I don't like. I think I need one more trailer.
Need one more trailer.
Show me something. Show me one more. Show me something. Show me one more trailer with some cool action sequences, some cool shots. Can I say there were some really awesome shots in that trailer, like the shots of like the vectors and like of like space, the crashing ships, the action, the fight choreography.
We're going to be going to so many planets. It seems with so many jumps and different locations, and I absolutely cannot wait. Like it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's genuinely going to be a grand scale show.
I do too. I really hope so. Where am I as far as excitement? I'm like at maybe like a 7.
Okay.
I'm excited. I'm hopeful. But I think that again, just put out one more trailer to get me going. Like, let's go.
I'm at a 9.9. And you know what would have pushed me to a 10 if they showed the Phantom Menace, the freaking fight scene at the end of the Phantom Menace. But instead, I'm stuck here at a 9.9. But I cannot wait for this show.
I said, you should have just brought it up. You should have just asked, like, hey, ask for the manager. What happened?
I should have. I choked under pressure. I'm sorry. So that brings us to a close today. I just want to say thank you to everyone for watching tonight. We can catch us here every Thursday night at 10 p.m. Eastern time. We talk everything Star Wars. I do want to say we uploaded to the channel yesterday an interview that I did with one of our friends, Neil. He works on the team. He's a good friend of the show, and he's like a mega collector over at Eastern Europe. And we talked about a number of things, ranging from, what are the difficulties in collecting in other countries that we don't necessarily experience here in the US. And I thought that was like a fascinating conversation as well. And he has a really unique story to even being introduced to Star Wars, where he randomly came home and he only had 3 channels at his house. And one of them happened to be playing A New Hope. And he just happened to turn on the TV that night and watched it. And I think that is like, that's the coolest way to almost fall in love with Star Wars, is by chance and not even necessarily it wasn't like we're going to watch Star Wars tonight. It was just what's this? And so we talked about a number of things with this collection as well. And I thought it was just a beautiful conversation on Star Wars and what it means to different people. So if you could go give that a watch or a listen, you can find it on our channel or on Apple and Spotify. You can find us there. We'll be having a new episode of the Timeline Show next week as well. Unfortunately, there's been just some, I don't know if you've been following the weather like in the United States, like continental USJ, but like there's been some horrible storms in like Kansas where Brian lives. And so he's been hunkered down having to get past tornadoes. So we were unable to record. We have like 4 episodes of the Timeline Show recorded, but we have 1 episode we have to drop before we can drop any of those recordings. And we weren't able to record it this week just because the weather was so bad. But we will be back for Timeline Show next week. We got a lot of fun stuff. We'll be exiting phase 2. We're now going to be going into phase 1, adventures and everything. So catch the last phase 2 content this next week. You can always check us out, Star Wars News Net Live. I'll be writing a review of High Republic 7 this week. Jay, anything you'd like to plug here before we get going?
Yeah, sure. Fans who are listening right now, feel free to check out my YouTube channel, Good Games Dude. That is a video game YouTube channel where I cover all of the best that video games have to offer. So I got a new video coming out tomorrow, actually, talking about Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, one of the best fighting games there is. As you can tell by my Chun-Li action figure back here and by my Street Fighter 3 Evil Moment 37 pixel arts frame, I am a big fan of Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. So feel free to check that out tomorrow. That goes live tomorrow on my YouTube channel. Again, that's Good Games Dude. And on the
I wish
Star
I
Wars...
played more video games. Like I wish I played more video games. Like you talking about video games gets me more excited. The only video games I really play are sports games. And shout out to my girlfriend's brother Rob, who works for EA, and he like works on Madden. And so like this last year, he got me a free copy of Madden, just like dropped it. So I've been playing. I haven't bought Madden in a few years because it's like it's $60-$70 for the game. So
every year.
A free copy of Madden was like amazing. I'm like 4 seasons in. I'm all in. And so shouts to Rob for always coming in clutch with the video games. What are you writing for Newsnet? Anything juicy going on?
Yes. On the book fronts, 2 manga adaptations just came out. A manga adaptation for Star Wars Visions, which I am really enjoying right now. To have like Star Wars Visions Volume 1 in manga form, awesome. So I'm writing a review up on that, which will hopefully be coming out very soon. And then I am working on a review for the manga adaptation of The Mandalorian Volume 2. Again, awesome artwork. If you like manga, even if you've know and watched these series before, it's a great way to re-experience these great works of art.
Right. So always check out Star Wars News Net for everything Star Wars. I know we have an interview that's going to be dropping soon with John Jackson Miller, who wrote The Living Force. We'll be having that video up. That Nate's conducted that interview recently, so be looking for that and other fun conversations that we're going to be dropping on the channel. Please like and subscribe before you exit out tonight. We like to do our best to bring you some fun Star Wars content every week. And as always, follow Star Wars News Net for everything Star Wars. You can follow us here on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you get your social media content. Until next week, signing off for Light and Life. Should have had a throw on for Tales of Empires. See you next week.